all right. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Middle of the Ring. I am your host with the most, DNP. Before we get into anything, go ahead and like this video and then share it with your friends and family. Tonight we are talking Monday Night Raw that came live from Memphis, Tennessee. Pretty good show tonight. So we're going to start off here. Roman Reigns opening the show, coming out to the ring. Before he even gets started, we get a interruption by Stephanie McMahon, and before she gets started, we get an interruption by Mick Foley. Once we get those three in the ring, we get to talking about the match for Roman Reigns to get into the championship match next Sunday, or this Sunday coming up at Clash of Champions. Roman Reigns, as you know, lost that match with some outside interference from Rusev and Seth Rollins. So, Mick Foley gives Roman Reigns Kevin Owens tonight in a steel cage match for the main event, and then he gives him Rusev at Clash of Champions for the U.S. Championship. So, we now have Roman Reigns versus Rusev, United States Championship. Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins, Universal Championship. Once we did that, we would get into the first match of the night, which was Rusev and Seth Rollins. As you know, because Seth Rollins and Rusev interfered in that match last week, breaking news, they had to face off as a punishment for interfering in that match. The match was pretty good. They gave it a little time, being that that's the first match. The match did end in a double disqualification. Went all the way up to the ramp. Seth Rollins taking the dive off of the announce table, now placed on the top of the stage, taking out Rusev. So we're going to see how good they're pretty much getting ready for their matches and looking past each other going towards Sunday. Next, we get Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens backstage talking about Mick Foley. Comedy skit, blah, 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 yakety smackety. Chris Jericho would show up later on to address Mick Foley, and then would show up to address the WWE crowd. Second match of the night was Braun Strowman and Sin Cara. Pretty much a squash match, but it had a couple of pops here and there, but pretty much a squash match. Braun Strowman wins that match easily. Next, we have a tag team match, and before we get into that tag team match, we would find out that Bayley would be a part of that women's championship match, as Dana Brooks would bring it to the higher up attention that both ladies had their shoulders on the ground for the 1, 2, 3. So instead of disqualifying them, they put them both in a match. So Dana Brooke is once again just screwing Charlotte at every turn. Just can't get it together. So we would find out that at Clash of Champions this Sunday, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Charlotte for the women's championship. But before that, they would have a tag team match. Sasha Banks, Bayley teaming up against against Charlotte and Dana Brooks. Dana Brooks kind of did an assist. Don't know if you want to call it that, but she was able to set up Charlotte for the win, pinning Bayley to the floor. The next segment we got into was Seth Rollins pretty much confronting Stephanie McMahon, saying, "Hey, I need to know why your husband screwed me. I mean, look at all the good times, the fun we had, the people we screwed, everybody." Stephanie McMahon basically saying, "Hey, I don't know what happened. But if you ask me, Kevin Owens is the future. You have pretty much messed it up for everybody. You're the reason we don't have the World Championship. You didn't beat Finn Balor at SummerSlam. I mean, KO is the future, so KO is the future. Third match, pretty much a squash match. Bo Dallas versus a Jobber, and Jobber pretty much got some good blows in. Midway through the match, which wasn't a long match at all, but midway through the match, we heard the Let's Go Jobber match. I mean, the Let's Go Jobber chants. So I don't know pretty much what they're doing with Bo Dallas right now. I don't think they got any planned for him, which kind of sucks. But I mean, I just don't see it. But he got the easy win. Then we move on to the Best of Seven series. Sheamus versus uh, Sheamus versus Cesaro. Best of Seven series. Cesaro comes up with the win, which ties that up now 3-3. Final match to be contested at Clash of Champions. And so far it's been a good series. Cesaro coming back from that 3-0. Was it 3-0 or 2-0? Whatever. But he pretty much came back. So as we all kind of knew, this match would go, this series would go all the way to Clash of Champions. So we will see that at Clash of Champions, and I'll be giving my predictions coming up Friday for those matches. After that match, we had Mick Foley, Chris Jericho backstage promo. Chris Jericho pretty much calling Mick Foley a loser, and as usual, stating that Mick Foley is trying to break up Kevin Owens and his friendship and this and that. So, once we come back from commercial, Chris Jericho in the ring giving his list of Jericho. And before he really got started with that, he would be interrupted by Enzo and Cass, who would then be interrupted by the Shining Stars of Mexico, which would then be interrupted by New Day, which would then be interrupted by Gallows and Anderson, which then would be interrupted by Sami Zayn. I mean, this was just a bunch of interruptions. Nobody really got anything off. I mean, Enzo and Cass pretty much got their promos off, and New Day pretty much got a little promo off. Shining Star got their stuff off too, but other than that, it was pretty much interruption after interruption. When we came back from commercial, we would find ourselves in a 10-man tag team match. Pretty good match. Kind of quick, obviously. It was just kind of a throw-in-there match. Our winners, though, would be Sami Zayn, New Day, Enzo and Cass. Next, we would have Mick Foley introduce to us the Cruiserweight division. The champion, we all know, is TJ Perkins. And he introduced us to four gentlemen, Rich Swan, I'm pretty sure I can't pronounce that name. I did earlier, but I can't do it now. Sorry about that. Cedric Alexander, Brian Kendricks, who is actually a former WWE star, last seen 2006. I'm not sure why he got eliminated, but he had a pretty good run. They would have a fatal four-way match, and it was definitely what we expected the Cruiserweights to do, was to bring some high flying, just some stuff never seen before or haven't been seen in a while since the WCW days. It definitely was a good match, top notch. Brian Kendricks would come out with the win. So at Clash of Champions, it will be TJ Packer TJ Perkins versus Brian Kidman. Or Brian Kendricks, I'm sorry. Where the hell did I get Kidman from? He wrestled in years. Last match of the night would be that main event, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. Steel cage match. Match went for a good long time. We pretty much had some back and forth. It had some nice spots. It definitely didn't live up to the hype. I don't think it was a hype around it, but it was definitely a good send-home match. Roman Reigns would win by climbing over the top. Kevin Owens tried to get out the door, but Roman Reigns got there to the floor 1 second before Kevin. I actually thought Kevin was going to get out of that cage first, but Roman Reigns gets out first, and so he wins that match. Then Roman Reigns attacked by Rusev and thrown back into the cage, where him and Kevin Owens pretty much did the work on Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins would come out, and I don't know if you call it help Roman Reigns, but he came out there, hit the splash off the top rope to Kevin Owens and Rusev. Shades of the Shield maybe returning. I doubt it, but anything's possible. But that was Monday Night Raw from beginning to end. Pretty much a good show all around. Okay. It should give you a good send off to Clash of Champions, which will be happening this Sunday. So I'll be interested to see what happens this Sunday for Raw's first pay-per-view, Clash of Champions. So, this is NP. As always, for all your wrestling news, you don't have to do nothing more but meet me in the middle of the ring. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and share. Also, don't forget to follow me on YouTube at Middle of the Ring Pro Wrestling Talk. Also, follow me on Facebook at Middle of the Ring, all one word, and on Twitter, Middle of the Ring, all one word.